Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and for this review, we are looking at the SH Figuarts Super Saiyan God Son Goku from Dragon Ball Z. And I'm very excited to be reviewing this because this is my 3,000th video. I was going to do it on the Deadpool figure, but I thought we should do it probably on a good figure instead. And so that's what we're doing here. This is the new Goku, and it looks pretty darn good. Pretty darn good indeed. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 6.5 inches to the top of his hair, closer to 5.5 to the top of his head, which makes him roughly 14 to the top of the head and 16 to the top of the hair. Now, I know a lot of people have been complaining about this guy since its inception because they showed a skinnier version at first, and then they showed this version, which has all the new engineering. And people are not happy that this is not the skinny version of Goku. Now, here's the thing. At first, I agreed. I was like, yeah, it looked way better when it was skinny, and that's what it's supposed to be. But I did a little bit of digging, and I'm not entirely sure that this version of Goku is supposed to be particularly skinny. I know it has been in some images and in some scenes, but as it's progressed further from its inception, I feel like they've changed it to being more of the standard build for Goku. And if you Google it, you just look at all the different images, he doesn't look that much slimmer than the regular Goku. And in fact, people are like, well, it should be a lot skinnier than Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Well, if you look up Super Saiyan 3 Goku, he's not particularly thick compared to normal Goku. And of course, it depends on which series you're watching, or which season you're watching even, or which episode you're watching. It's not entirely consistent, but most of the time, Super Saiyan 3 is not particularly more muscular. He might be slightly bulky, and even still, this guy is a lot slimmer than this guy. The arms are really the only major difference. We'll talk about that a little bit more. I'm pretty sure the legs are the same, and the torso is very similar at least. But this guy does have a bulkier torso and significantly bulkier arms. So if this guy is the same size as regular Goku, and he's still a lot slimmer than Super Saiyan 3, I don't think it's all that bad. I think it's okay. Should it be a lot skinnier? I don't know. I haven't been able to find conclusive evidence to support that. I know it has been, but consistently, I don't think that's the case. So I'm okay with it. I'm perfectly okay with it. And even still, even if it is supposed to be skinny, that's a slight problem, whereas the rest of the figure is pretty darn good. So I think it's okay. I think we can look past that, but now at least you have a little bit more information, even though I couldn't confirm anything, but that's what I got. And if you want to look it up yourself, I encourage you to do so. All right, so let's talk about the accessories before we get into the figure. We have 4 different faces. We have the face that comes on him in the package, which is kind of stern looking. Then we have a smiling face. Then we have one with his teeth showing. And then we have one where he's yelling. And these are all very nicely done. These might be the best faces for Goku we've had in a long time. We do have a bunch of different hands. Also, we have the 2 fist hands that come on him in the package, 2 karate chop hands, 2 martial arts pose hands, 2 maybe charge your Kamehameha hands, and then 2 fire your Kamehameha hands. Although, he doesn't actually fire with his fingers open, does he? I guess not. Either way, those are the hands. And look at this, guys. Look at this. There's shading throughout the figure. It's not just right here by his junk. And I did see images early on that it looked like he just had a big skid mark back here, but it's nowhere near that bad. It's really just at the bottom. And then we also have shading back here to balance it out. And it's not so bad. I was really worried we were going to have skid mark Goku, and we don't. So that's good. The shading is so much more consistent throughout the entire figure. I love that. It's so nice to see that again. They didn't do it on this guy. That's disappointing, but you can see it looks so much nicer to have the shading. And you could argue that he's glowing more because he's Super Saiyan God, and I get it, but I still want my shading. The only time the shading's really not particularly good is right across the chest here, because we have these 2 different pieces and they did the shading independently. So you have bright orange to dark orange. That's going to vary from figure to figure, so hopefully you get a better one. But either way, it looks really, really nice. And then the paint job for the blue is well done. There's shading on the blue everywhere except for the chest and belt, and maybe the boots. So just the sleeves and maybe it's just the sleeves. I thought there was more. I guess it's just the sleeves. That's kind of a bummer. But either way, it does give you some shading. And then they painted the logos on there. It's very nicely done. It's a little gray. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be gray as opposed to white, but either way, it looks really nice. And then the thing that I think is the absolute best about this figure is the hair. I know some people don't like the metallic hair. For me, it could go either way, generally speaking, but for this guy, it's like a pearlescent metallic. If you look directly at the hair, it's kind of that darker pink color. But then if you let the light hit it certain ways, it has that more purpley, lighter, brighter pink color that kind of pops through, and it just looks so nice. It looks exactly as it's supposed to, and I hope that's coming through on camera, because it just looks really, really good. Now, as far as the articulation goes, we have slightly different articulation for the neck, because, like I said, it's not the same as Super Saiyan 3 Goku. And here's the thing. We have our ball hinge, which we normally have, which I don't like. But this time, they made it a longer peg with a little bit of a bigger ball peg, so the hair, or the head, can move around on that ball peg alone just fine. And then if you want to, you can kind of use that ball hinge. But as you can see, it's pretty tricky to get that ball hinge to do what you want it to do. So they really should just stick to the double ball peg, but this one's a little bit better than it has been, so that's pretty good. As far as the neck itself, I didn't take it apart, but I'm sure it's just a ball peg and it moves around well enough, so that's fine. For the shoulders, we have our butterfly joint, similar to the Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Not the best looking from behind, but it is effective enough, so that's good. We have our ball pegged sleeve piece, and then of course the arm is on a ball peg on top of that butterfly, and then we have our ball hinge. So you can get pretty good range out of it. In some poses, you're going to have to kind of finagle it to look good, but you get decent enough range. It's alright. And then as far as bringing it across the chest, it's still not that useful, so I don't know why they keep giving us butterfly joints that don't really help. I mean, if you can't bring the arm across the chest, then just don't bother. But it's not bad, it just doesn't really work properly, so it's okay. Bicep swivel works just fine, no problems there. Double jointed elbow, it's more of a single jointed elbow, kind of along the lines of how they used to do their elbow joints, where this top one barely moves, but you still get better than 90 degrees, so that's okay. For the wrists, we have our little tiny ball hinge, which is fine. Don't really need to have a ball hinge there, but it works well enough, I guess, so that's okay. For the diaphragm joint, I believe there's a hinge in there. I'm not sure. I haven't taken it apart, but you can do this. So it moves around on the ball peg. I'll just show you that first. It moves around just fine on the ball peg, but then you can lift it up in the back, and that gives him much more lean going forward. Do you see how the back lifts up? That's not just a ball peg, so you get extra range. I'm not sure how that works, but it does work. And then you can do the same thing going backwards. I guess it could just be a really, really well executed double ball peg, but it gives you really nice range and it looks good, so I'll take it. And then it does, of course, lean side to side. And the lower torso, I think it's a ball peg, but it mostly just wants to swivel. And you can't pull it up or down. And then the floating belt piece is a floating belt piece, so that'll help with the rotation, but it doesn't really move that much, but I think that's good. It's better to have it tight and still effective rather than loose and bouncing around, so I like that. For the hips, I think they're the same as Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't taken these apart yet, but they look like it's the same exact mold. You do get pretty good range going forward, pretty much the same range going back. Going out to the side is still kind of limited. It's probably enough, but it could be more. It's not bad though. And then, of course, you have your thigh swivel built in, which is fine. So I think that's okay. It's not a bad setup. For the knees, still not the best looking knees we've seen. They function well enough, and they're not incredibly ugly, but they should definitely be designed like the Figuarts model kits. Way better. And then for the ankles, we have a double ball peg, which is still not ideal for ankles, but at least the way these are executed. But these are slightly better than they have been. They're more along the lines, I think they're the same as the Super Saiyan 3 Goku. And you can see you get a decent ankle rocker. Not so much range going forward, a little bit of range going back, and then you have a toe hinge, which is okay. So yeah, it's not like it's an incredibly impressive figure or anything like that, but it's definitely good enough. It does a good job of being what it's supposed to be. I'm excited to get a standard Goku on this mold because it's definitely better than the original Goku mold, and I like it. It's got nice proportions. This is a particularly vibrant color. I think they just did a really good job on this guy. So I'm very happy with it, and I think you will be too. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you come back for that. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. And in the meantime, keep collecting.